flipping through the newspapers, switching through multiple news channels, exploring different websites and online mediums for relevant news? Keeping up to date with important news is not only time-consuming but also requires meticulous upkeep of notes for thorough revision. With a limited period in hand and abundant resources to study from, do not let current affairs come in the way of your prelims success. Join the PT 365 program by Vision IAS and advance in your preparation for current affairs. Starting on 9th January at 5 p.m., this 20-day course offers comprehensive coverage of 1 year of current affairs in 60 hours. Join for improved knowledge with complete coverage of The Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana, Economic Survey, etc. Doubt-clearing sessions and mentoring for thorough knowledge. Access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus questions. Access to live and online classes for flexibility in timing. It's time to devote your energy to smart learning and not running. Enroll today and excel in UPSC prelims with a strong command of current affairs.
Hello and welcome to this edition of News Today. Without delay, let's have a look at the headlines first. NASA's astronauts return to Earth after being stuck in space for 286 days. Kerala High Court balances freedom of expression with concerns over glorification of violence in cinema. Centre has made Thematic hub operational for India's quantum revolution. India's first PPP green waste processing plant to launch in Indore. CSIR National Botanical Research Institute has developed the world's first pink Bollworm-Resistant GM cotton. United Nations Conference on Trade and Development released a World of Debt Report 2024. In our first news for the day, we bring you the latest update from space. After an unexpected delay, NASA's astronauts have finally returned to Earth after being stuck in space for an astonishing 286 days. They had traveled to the International Space Station aboard Boeing's CST-100 Starliner. However, their return was postponed due to critical technical failures. The spacecraft experienced helium leaks and a malfunctioning thruster, crucial for steering and controlling re-entry, making it unsafe for the astronauts to return as scheduled. Now, while 286 days is a long time, it is not the longest a human has spent in space. That record still belongs to Soviet cosmonaut Valery Polyakov, who stayed aboard the Mir space station for an incredible 438 days. But this extended stay wasn't just a challenge. It also presented some unique opportunities for research and future space missions. Let's take a closer look at what NASA gained from this unexpected extension. First, medical research. This situation provided a rare chance to study unplanned long-term space exposure and its effects on the human body. The findings could help future astronauts on prolonged missions beyond Earth's orbit. Next, technology testing. Keeping the spacecraft and onboard systems running beyond their intended mission durations helped NASA assess the performance of life support systems and other critical equipment. And finally, deep space mission preparation. This experience offers valuable data for planning future missions to Mars and the Moon, where astronauts will have to spend extended periods in space. Of course, staying in space for an extended period is not without its challenges. The astronauts had to endure several health risks during their prolonged mission. One major concern is space radiation. Continuous exposure to cosmic rays and solar radiation increases the risk of cancer and other radiation-induced illnesses. Then there's gravity fields. The effects of microgravity lead to muscle atrophy and bone density loss. NASA observes that astronauts lose 1 to 1.5% of their weight-bearing bone mass per month in microgravity. And once they return towards gravity, they face balance and coordination difficulties. Another key challenge is isolation and confinement. Being away from Earth for such a long time in a confined space can impact mental well-being and team dynamics, making psychological resilience just as important as physical fitness. All of this research ties back to the very foundation of the International Space Station, the orbiting laboratory that has been at the forefront of space exploration for over 2 decades. The ISS is a habitable artificial satellite in low Earth orbit, positioned between 370 to 460 kilometers above our planet. It is a collaborative effort between multiple space agencies, including NASA, US, Roscosmos, Russia, the European Space Agency, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency. The ISS serves as a hub for scientific research, technology testing, and deep space exploration preparation, supporting future missions that could take humanity further than ever before. And with that, NASA's astronauts are finally back home, bringing invaluable data that could shape the future of space exploration.
Ahead, we dive into a crucial legal and cultural debate. The Kerala High Court has made a significant observation, balancing freedom of expression with concerns about the glorification of violence in cinema. This comes during the hearing of the Women in Cinema Collective vs. State of Kerala and Others case, centered around the K. Hema Committee report. Let's break this down. The K. Hema Committee, led by retired High Court Justice K. Hema, investigated pressing issues like sexual harassment and gender inequality in the Malayalam film industry. The court's observation emerged while reviewing petitions linked to this report. Moving on to the heart of the debate, we see two sides: regulating violence in cinema versus protecting freedom of expression. On one hand, the argument for regulating violence in cinema highlights that excessive violence might influence society by normalizing harmful behaviors. Furthermore, glorifying violence on screen can lead to negative psychological effects, particularly on impressionable audiences. On the other hand, the argument for protecting freedom of expression insists that cinema at its core reflects societal realities, and that includes violence. Censoring such portrayals might suppress important narratives. Additionally, freedom of speech empowers filmmakers to explore diverse perspectives, even when they involve uncomfortable or violent themes. The detriments of mindless violence in cinemas can be seen across various social and psychological dimensions. One key issue is the reinforcement of toxic masculinity. Films like Kabir Singh and Animal portray dominance and violence as symbols of male strength, promoting an unhealthy image of masculinity. Simultaneously, there's a perpetuation of gender stereotypes, with movies like Dabangg reducing women to mere love interest, often sidelined within male-driven narratives. Moreover, such portrayals can deeply influence vulnerable minds. Films like Gangs of Wasepur and Pushpa romanticize violent lifestyles, shaping aggression as a form of power, a dangerous notion for impressionable audiences. Lastly, this glorification of violence contributes to the erosion of social harmony. Movies like KGF celebrate brute force, reinforcing violence as an acceptable means to achieve goals, potentially normalizing aggression in real-world contexts. To better understand this, let's look at some important legal judgments on film censorship and freedom of speech. First, in the case of K.A. Abbas versus Union of India, the Supreme Court upheld pre-censorship for films, considering it a reasonable restriction under Article 19, Clause 2 to protect public morality. Next, the S. Rangarajan versus P. Jagjeevan Ram judgment emphasized the need to balance freedom of expression with public interest, allowing censorship only when supported by valid, compelling reasons. Following this, in Ramesh versus Union of India, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of protecting documentary films from censorship driven by public protest or political pressures. Lastly, the FA Picture International versus Central Board of Film Certification case saw the Bombay High Court criticizing unnecessary censorship, reaffirming the constitutional rights of filmmakers. This evolving dialogue between creative freedom and social responsibility remains critical for the future of Indian cinema. The Kerala High Court's observations add another layer to this ongoing debate, ensuring that while freedom of expression stands strong, the potential impact on society isn't ignored. In our next news, we explore a groundbreaking move in India's scientific journey. The center has made the Thematic Hub operational, propelling the country into a new era of quantum technology under the National Quantum Mission, or NQM. Let's dive into what this means. 4 thematic hubs, or T-hubs, have been established to spearhead this quantum revolution. These hubs will drive key activities, from technology and human resource development to entrepreneurship, industry partnerships, and even international collaborations. The Indian Institute of Technology, or IIT Kanpur, has been appointed as a management coordinating center, ensuring smooth operations across these hubs. Now, let's explore the key technology verticals powering these three hubs. First, quantum computing, led by the Indian Institute of Science, or IISc, Bengaluru. Unlike traditional computers that rely on bits representing either 0 or 1, quantum computers use special units called qubits, which can exist as both 0 and 1 simultaneously. This breakthrough allows for exponentially faster computing power. Next, quantum communication, led by IIT Madras. This technology encodes information into quantum states, typically using photons or light particles, and transmits them securely over long distances, paving the way for ultra-secure communication networks. Moving on, quantum sensing and meteorology, led by IIT Bombay. Quantum sensing uses quantum systems to make atomic scale measurements, while quantum meteorology focuses on achieving incredibly sensitive, high-resolution measurements of physical conditions essential for fields like medical imaging and navigation. And finally, quantum materials and devices, led by IIT Delhi. This area investigates the structural, electrical, and magnetic properties of nanoscale systems across a wide range of materials, paving the way for next-generation technologies. But what's driving this massive push? It's all part of the National Quantum Mission, or NQM, designed to seed, nurture, and scale up both scientific and industrial research and development, creating a vibrant, innovative ecosystem in quantum technology, or QT. The mission is spearheaded by the Department of Science and Technology, or DST, under the Ministry of Science and Technology. Notably, NQM stands tall as one of the 9 key missions under the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, or PMSTIAC. Spanning from 2023 to 2031, the mission has set ambitious targets, from developing intermediate-scale quantum computers to enabling satellite-based secure quantum communications. With these advancements, India is not just participating, but positioning itself as a global leader in the quantum future. Now, we look at a major step forward in sustainable development. India's first public-private partnership, or PPP, green waste processing plant is set to launch in Indore under the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban. Let's start with what makes this project groundbreaking. The plant aims to revolutionize waste management by turning green waste into valuable, eco-friendly resources, a big leap towards a cleaner, greener future. So let's dive into the details. The plant will process green waste, including wood, branches, leaves, and flowers, helping generate revenues for the Indore Municipal Corporation, or IMC. Under the Swachh Bharat Mission, the IMC will provide the land and manage the transport of green waste to the facility. Meanwhile, a private company, Astronomical Industries Private Limited, will handle the installation, operation, and maintenance of the plant. This partnership brings together public infrastructure and private efficiency to make sustainable waste management a reality. But this isn't India's first step in green waste management. Several key initiatives are already in motion. The Solid Waste Management Rules 2016 mandate that biodegradable waste should be processed, treated, and disposed of through composting or biomethanation, ideally within the premises as far as possible. Next, the National Bioenergy Program supports the establishment of bioenergy projects across the country, promoting renewable energy from organic waste. And then there's the Waste to Wealth Mission, an initiative under the Prime Minister's Science, Technology and Innovation Advisory Council, or PMSTIAC. This mission aims to strengthen India's waste management system by turning waste into valuable resources. Now, let's take a moment to understand the broader framework driving this project, the Swachh Bharat Mission, or SBM, which is divided into 2 key components. First, SBM Grameen aimed to ensure cleanliness in rural areas through solid and liquid waste management activities and make India open defecation-free, or ODF. Now, the goal is to transform all villages into ODF+. It's implemented by the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Second, SBM Urban 2.0 targets cities. The objective is to make urban areas garbage-free, promote behavior change, and manage grey and black water effectively. This urban mission is led by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. So with this upcoming green waste processing plant in Indore, we're witnessing a powerful example of how public and private sectors can collaborate for a sustainable, cleaner future.
Moving ahead, let's talk about a groundbreaking development in agriculture. CSIR, National Botanical Research Institute or NBRI, has developed the world's first pink bollworm-resistant GM cotton. This breakthrough is set to revolutionize cotton farming in India, offering a more effective solution against one of the most destructive pests. Let's start with a bit of background. Genetically modified or GM cotton, also known as Bt cotton, is developed by incorporating a gene from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis or Bt. Bt cotton was approved for commercial cultivation in India in 2002 by the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee or GEAC of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Since its introduction, varieties like Bollgard 1 and Bollgard 2 have successfully controlled bollworm species like the American bollworm and spotted bollworm. However, they have struggled against the pink bollworm or PBW as it has developed resistance to the Cry1AC protein used in these varieties. To address this challenge, scientists at CSIR NBRI have engineered a novel insecticidal gene that provides superior resistance against PBW, offering better protection than Bollgard 2 cotton. This new cotton variety is also effective against other pests like the cotton leafworm and fall armyworm, further strengthening crop security. Now, let's understand how Bt cotton works and why this advancement is so crucial for farmers. Bt cotton is genetically modified to produce a toxin from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, which is harmful to bollworm pest but safe for humans and beneficial insects. The process involves three key steps. Gene insertion. Scientists introduce a gene from Bacillus thuringiensis into the cotton plant's DNA, enabling it to produce the cry protein. Toxin production. When the bollworm larvae feed on the cotton plant, they ingest the cry protein, which becomes toxic in their digestive system, disrupting their gut and ultimately killing them. Pest control. The cry protein specifically targets bollworms, which are resistant to many chemical pesticides. This reduces the need for chemical sprays, making farming more sustainable and cost-effective. But why is this development so important? The pink bollworm or PBW has been one of the biggest threats to cotton crops in India. This pest grows through multiple life stages and the larvae causes the most damage by feeding on cotton balls, leading to a significant loss of seeds and fiber. States like Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana have experienced yield losses of up to 30% due to PBW infestations. With this new GM cotton variety, farmers will have a much-needed solution to tackle these losses effectively. In summary, this landmark innovation by CSIR and BRI not only provides stronger resistance against PBW, but also reduces dependence on chemical pesticides, benefiting both farmers and the environment. Now, we turn our focus to a crucial global issue, the rising public debt and its impact on developing nations. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development or UNCTAD has released its much-anticipated A World of Debt Report 2024, sounding the alarm on the urgent need for global action. Let's begin with the key findings of this report. Public debt, also referred to as sovereign debt, is the total financial obligation accumulated by a government through borrowing from domestic or external sources to fund expenditures that exceed its revenue. In 2023, global public debt surged to an alarming $97 trillion, with developing countries experiencing a debt increase at twice the rate of developed nations. India's public debt stands at $2.9 trillion, reflecting the nation's growing financial commitments. India's public debt situation presents a significant challenge. The general government debt to GDP stands at 81%. far exceeding the FRBM Act's recommended limit of 60%. This raises concern over fiscal management and sustainability. However, India's external debt to GDP ratio is notably lower at 18.6%, making it the second lowest among the top 6 economies. Despite this, the overall debt burden remains a serious issue, necessitating well-structured financial strategies. Moving forward, the UNCTAD report highlights the heavy strain of debt servicing. In 54 developing nations, interest payments outweigh social sector spending, limiting resources for essential public welfare. Adding to this financial imbalance, developing countries are paying interest rates that are 2 to 12 times higher than those of developed nations, placing them in a cycle of financial distress. The consequences of rising debt are evident. High debt levels can discourage investments and stifle economic growth, creating a debt overhang effect. Furthermore, liquidity constraints have worsened with private creditors withdrawing nearly $50 billion from developing nations. Debt restructuring remains an expensive and complex process, primarily because of a creditor base dominated by Western institutions, including private, multilateral, and bilateral lenders. So, what solutions does the UNCTAD report propose? The recommendations include developing more efficient debt restructuring mechanisms to address coordination challenges, expanding contingency financing to prevent debt crisis, and enhancing the participation of developing countries in global financial governance. The UNCTAD's 2024 report serves as a wake-up call, urging nations to collaborate in building a more sustainable and inclusive financial future.
In today's Place in News, we turn our attention to Peru with its capital, Lima. The country has declared a state of emergency and deployed the army in its capital following a surge in violence. Now, let's look at some key facts about Peru. The country, located on the western coast of South America, strategically connects the Pacific Ocean with the Andes Mountains and the Amazon Basin. It shares borders with Ecuador and Colombia to the north, Brazil to the east, and Bolivia and Chile to the south. Geographically, Peru is rich and diverse. It boasts the Amazon River and Lake Titicaca, the world's highest navigable lake, shared with Bolivia. Around 60% of the country is covered by the vast Amazon forest. Notable landmarks include the Atacama Desert, which extends into the southern part of Peru from Chile, Nazca Lines, the mysterious geoglyphs in the desert, and the Humboldt Current, a cold ocean current shaping the region's climate. Peru is also home to abundant natural resources, including one of the world's largest silver reserves.
As we conclude today's main news, let's have a look at some quick updates. In the Auroville Foundation versus Navroz Kirsas Modi case, the Supreme Court emphasized the need to balance industrial development and environmental protection. The debate centers around finding the golden balance. Industrial growth should not come at the expense of environmental harm, and both goals should be pursued together. Furthermore, environmental rights are fundamental as the right to a clean environment is protected under Articles 14 and 21 of the Constitution. The RBI and Bank of Mauritius signed an MOU to promote local currencies in cross-border transactions, supporting the internationalization of the Indian rupee. Internationalization of Indian rupee refers to increasing the global acceptance of the Indian rupee in trade, investment, and forex reserves, reducing dependency on foreign currencies like the US dollar. A new global survey by the Future of Free Speech ranks India 24th out of 33 countries for free speech support. Other key findings show that Scandinavian countries including Norway, Denmark and Sweden, along with two democratic backsliders, Hungary and Venezuela, exhibit the highest levels of support for free speech. Ministry of Culture to revive the Kamba Ramayana. The Kamba Ramayana was composed by the great poet Kamban in Tamil. This version of the Ramayana was written in the 12th-13th century CE. It is a culturally rich adaptation of the Valmiki Ramayana. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in collaboration with the Drone Federation India, launched the National Innovation Challenge for Drone Application and Research, NIDR, under the Swayan initiative. NIDR aims to inspire and engage India's student and research communities to develop collaborative autonomous drones addressing real-world challenges in the field of disaster management and precision agriculture. The FIRESat project's first satellite successfully placed into low Earth orbit, or LEO. FIRESat is being developed by Google Research, Earth Fire Alliance, the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, and Moon Space. It will have an LEO constellation comprising 50 satellites. The 23rd edition of the bilateral naval exercise Varuna between India and France has started. The exercise has been an important part of India-France maritime cooperation since 2001. Betwa River is struggling to maintain its natural flow due to human-led developments. Betwa River, also known as Betravati in Sanskrit, is a tributary of Yamuna. It originates at Jhiri village, district Sehor, near Bhopal and joins Yamuna River near Hamirpur. Before we sign off, let's challenge your understanding in today's installment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you found this episode of News Today engaging. For the solutions to the quiz and to access the PDF version of News Today, remember to visit the provided links in the description below.